going on, Notre Dame fans? Mike Singer and Tyler Horka with yet another post-Marcus Sherman Monday press conference reaction video. 4 main topics to discuss in this video. And if you like what you see, please do hit the thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content. Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Mike Goolsby show to react to Notre Dame's 35-14 win. Make sure you check that out. Goolsby was at the stadium, so it'll be really fun to catch up with him. But Tyler, you are also, of course, at the game. Saw Drew Pyne's performance. I think it was 9 of 17, 85 yards, touchdown, and how I remember this exactly, 4 rushes, 21 yards, and a touchdown. That was his performance. I thought it was interesting that he was.
That's why you remember the stats. Huge Drew Pyne guy.
Not as much as you, but in all seriousness,
Yeah.
Offensive player of the game. And Tyler, my thought on this is, so much of us, like, we kind of think about football as like it's Madden, like we're playing a game of Madden, and the most kind of game control you do is Madden is just the clock. You're not worried about offsides and Madden or false starts in Madden. It's just or delay of games. It's just very easy to kind of move things along. But in real life, that's not the case. And he praised Drew Pyne for, kind of the game control, clock management kind of stuff.
Yeah, there you have 2 words there, control and manager. People like to talk about game managers. Jack Cohn had that discussion last year, and I think that shows you how widespread or variable that term can be, because Jack Cohn and Drew Pyne are different quarterbacks. Jack Cohn's a lot bigger, throw the ball a little bit better. But at the end of the day, I don't think that's a derogatory term, because every quarterback is trying to manage the game. CJ Stroud, when it's not 40-mile-an-hour winds in northern Chicago or Evanston, wherever Northwestern is, Patrick Inkle could tell me better than I could. But quarterbacks are trying to manage the game. And Drew Pyne, when you've got Audric Estime behind you, you got Logan Diggs, you have this huge offensive line. Yeah, you'd like him to hit more than 9 of 17, but at the end of the day, he didn't need to. And you can make a case that there's Ollie. He should have done this last week when it was his time. It was his birthday. But you could make a case that Drew Pyne scored outside of the tone-setting punt block touchdown that kind of just set the tone for everything. Drew Pyne scored one of the most important touchdowns in that game when he ran the ball in just before halftime, puts Notre Dame up 2 scores. It's an entirely different game at halftime because he did that. And on that drive, I'm pretty sure he scrambled for another first down. 4 rushes for 21 yards isn't a lot, but we've seen this with Drew Pyne a few times this year where he's able to move the chains when you least expect it with his feet. So, and then of course he gets the throwing touchdown to Michael Mayer. So I think a lot of people are going to take some issue with Drew Pyne being the player of the game. But again, were you going to give it to one offensive lineman like they did for Jarrett Patterson at Syracuse? If you gave it to the running backs, you would literally have to split it down the middle and give it to Estime and Diggs because they were basically the same guy out there in that game. I kind of like the oddball move of giving it to Drew Pyne.
I don't want folks to be like, oh, they're just these big Drew Pyne homers. Notre Dame does not have this big-time quarterback right now. They just don't. But Pyne is what he is. Like, the staff knows what they have, and they were pleased with the performance of their quarterback. So, yeah. Good for Pyne. Don't
He's
think
also
he had
6-1 as a starter.
6-1.
Those are numbers.
Yeah. Team 6-1. I don't know how
6-1.
much you can give that to Pyne. I don't know. What
2 or 3 of those games, you could say he might have been their best player. And I'm not sure if he got a Player of the Game award, and maybe he got one for like North Carolina or something. So maybe this is like a retroactive award. But yeah, could he be better? Yes. Is he winning with this team? Yes.
I don't want to go in the whole Drew Pyne discussion, so we'll move along. We'll do that playing with Mike Goolsby, I'm sure. Freeman was asked about, look, they're winning all these games, 6-1 in the last 7, have bounced back nicely after the embarrassing 16-14 loss against Stanford. Freeman was asked, what have you guys kind of done to turn things around? Freeman pretty much gave some coach speak. I don't know if you have any insights on what Freeman said, but I was also curious what your thoughts were on, what Notre Dame has done to kind of turn things around.
Let's be a prisoner of the moment and do some recency bias here. In the last 2 games, it's been Notre Dame playing excellent football in all 3 phases. We can get so caught up in what this Notre Dame offense is doing, isn't doing. A lot of the talk is centered on the offense. All these people are saying, well, Notre Dame would have this record if the offense just did this against Marshall or that against Stanford. The last 2 games, the offense hasn't been an issue because they found a way to run the ball. So that's number one in that phase. When you're blocking punts and they're leading directly to touchdowns, you could basically say the block punt against Syracuse was returned for a touchdown too, because it set up Audric Estime on the 2-yard line, and that's a touchdown. This one, they ran it straight in, and you get pick sixes in both of those games too. That's the defensive side of the ball. It's literally all 3 phases. So can you do that in every single ball game? No, they might struggle against Navy or Boston College for all we know if they don't get those big plays in the other 2 phases. But when you do those things, it's really hard to beat a football team that is excelling in all 3 phases. And that's what Notre Dame is doing right now. Credit the coaching staff. The Brian Mason video that's circulating on Twitter, excellent. He basically called what Clemson was going to do with their punt team, and Notre Dame went out and blocked a punt and returned it for a touchdown. And then I think Marcus Freeman is doing a good things with the other 2 phases and just getting these guys ready to play.
Yeah, I feel like so much of this discussion always comes back to the quarterback spot in the passing offense. But if you don't have a high-flying passing attack, what you need to do is have a really good rushing game, really good defense, and then the special teams is just a big cherry on top. I feel like special teams, you just don't want to screw up.
Yeah.
And that's sufficient, and that's good. But when you have big-time plays to support oh, man. I mean, that's
game changing. It's game changing.
Absolutely. I remember when I was playing high school ball, my coach told me, if you block a punt, you win 83% of the time. Now, when he told us that, we had a blocked punt against us, and of course we lost. But yeah, block punts are absolutely huge. Last thing, Tyler, I know I said 4, but we're just going to go with 3 here. Kind of items to discuss. Freeman's press conferences after a win seem a lot, and we're talking about these Monday pressers. They're the longest of the week, 30, 35 minutes. A lot different after a win than after a loss. And I'm also curious, he's this first-time head coach, right? Have you seen a progression with him in press conferences? Maybe people don't care about it, but we're also just, we're nerds. So curious what you think.
Yeah, it's another prisoner of the moment type of thing. It's easy to say, wow, this guy said all the right things right after they just beat the number 4 team in the country and the field was stormed. And you can't mess up in that instance. Everything you say is gold. My Twitter numbers reflect that. Our board numbers at blueandgold.com message board reflect that right now. But I said the same thing as you, Mike. I was walking out of that press conference today with a couple members of the beat, and I said, man, he was really good today. He was wearing that suit jacket, which he had kind of left in the closet. It's getting a little chillier in South Bend. He looked good. He was speaking well. Again, those things are easy to do after you beat the number 4 team in the country, but I think it is a natural progression, and he's learning on the fly here, because I wrote a lot of people would call it a scathing column a couple weeks ago when he talked about not being able to build off of some of the things that Brian Kelly did. I'm not sure if he meant it in that way, but look, he's learning that when he does say things like that, people are going to take them and run with them. When he says the right thing, people are going to praise him for it. So it's all, he's 36 years old. He's doing this for the first time in a head coaching capacity, and he has still not made it through an entire season of football as a head coach. He's got to do this every single Monday, like you said, Mike, and it takes 30 to 35 minutes. So this is a pretty big part of maybe not his week, but it's a big part of his day when he has to go in there and face this. And I think he keeps getting better every single time. Now, is there going to be a time where he says something where I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, that's going to happen when you lose to Marshall at home and you lose to Stanford at home. It's kind of hard to say the right things. It's kind of hard just to find the things to say, but I think he does know that winning cures all, right? And that goes for a lot of aspects. It definitely goes in the press conference room.
I will touch on point number 4 real quick. Notre Dame, Navy, 12 p.m. Eastern time, neutral field in M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. It's found on ABC. Freeman was kind of asked about preparing for Navy, and the Al Golden's coach against triple option, of course. Freeman against Navy last year as the DC, and Freeman also mentioned in fall camp and the bye week that Notre Dame has started kind of prepping for that triple option. So just wanted to throw that in there real quick. But folks, please do hit that thumbs up, subscribe to our YouTube channel, of course, and you go to blueandgold.com. The deal right now is $10, gets you access through the start of next football season. So please head to the site and check it out. Appreciate you all for watching. Thanks, Ollie, for hanging out with us as well. And
he was a big contributor today.
A big contributor. Thanks, everybody.